What's going on, gamers? Today we'll be discussing how to make money on a Minecraft server. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell in order to stay updated on all of our Minecraft videos. So why monetize a server? Minecraft servers aren't cheap to host or maintain, and keeping a large server or multiple servers up with your own money is a hardly viable long-term option for most people. So, let's consider the expenses of hosting a well-developed Minecraft server. Obviously, there's the actual hosting itself. And depending on the amount of servers on your network and those server specifications, the sum can add up to quite a bit just on its own. But, for larger servers, there are so many more. To list but a few examples, there's custom plugin development, professional builders, website development, and advertising. And that is not nearly all of them. New expenses crop up all the time, which can add up to quite the total at the end of the month. And this is exactly why server monetization isn't just good for earning side income, but it can also be vital to a server's survival. There are a number of ways to monetize a server, and while not each is viable for every type of server, this guide will cover the most important ones. While dealing with things relating to money, there are some important considerations and caveats to take into account and be aware of. The first and potentially biggest factor on your server's monetization potential is its marketability. This can be reflected in many ways, namely the server's appeal and community. A server's money-making potential is directly linked to the amount of regular players your server has and how invested those players are in your server. Making your server stand out from others will naturally draw in a larger player base. You have to give the players incentive to join your world and stick with it for a longer period of time. In a world with thousands of Minecraft servers, yours needs to stand out in some way, whether that's unique builds, game modes, or something else entirely. It's up to you, but this is an important factor to consider. A strong sense of community is something else that energizes your players into spending money on your server. Though Minecraft terms of service disallow purchasing in-game advantages for real-world money, which we will get into a bit later, fostering a community on your server will get your players attached to it, and they'll be far more willing to spend money on donations or cosmetic perks to keep the server running. Finally, and perhaps just as important, is marketing. For many new players to hear about and join your server, you can't only rely on word-of-mouth advertising. You need to make sure that your server is listed on the online Minecraft server lists. Encourage voting for your server with in-game rewards. Run and advertise server-wide events, giveaways, and similar things. You can try to guide YouTube and Twitch traffic onto your server to increase its popularity. Minecraft's commercial usage guidelines expressly forbid selling any in-game benefits for real-world money. The guidelines are simple enough to understand, but to summarize, any in-game benefit, including items, commands, plugin functionality, and the likes, are not allowed to be sold for real-world money. However, this does not include things that don't actually affect the gameplay. You can still sell cosmetics, ask for donations, have sponsors, and affiliate links on your server. You can even charge access for it. As long as you're not selling something that directly affects the gameplay in any way, then it does not go against guidelines. The most simple form for monetization is donations from your community. Donations are little payments from your server that do not give any actual perks. Well, why would a player want to spend money on something that doesn't give them anything in return? It's simple. Investment. If your players are having enough fun with the server and the community, they'll naturally want to keep it running. Asking for donations to cover your server's expenses is a great way of ensuring this. A note for smaller servers: as your server grows, it's important to make sure that it's just a donation, and no in-game perks will be awarded for the player to ensure that there's no disputes for mistaken purchases. Alongside one-off payment options, you could set up a subscription donation package. Very loyal players may even want to set up recurring donations. An example of this would be a $5 donation every month. Just as before, it's important to make sure that the information about this being a subscription is very clear in order to avoid any confusion and disputes. Besides donations, the second most common and straightforward method of monetizing a server is the selling of in-game cosmetics. These may come in the form of ranks, one-off purchases, bundles, really anything that you can think of that players might want to get to look unique, and that doesn't go against Minecraft's terms of service. An example of this might be a colored name or effect around the player, or even a custom trail that follows behind them. With the terms of service in mind, you can now start setting up your Tebex, or your crafting store site, in order to start selling perks to your server community. Each web store provider will have different features and pricing plans, so it's important to check them both out to see if you have any specific needs that one covers but the other does not. These stores will directly integrate with your server through the use of plugins. When a player runs a command like /buy in game, they'll be greeted with a menu of all the different items and perks that can be purchased. This will link them straight to the web store online so that they can make a purchase. You might not want to have a menu in-game, and in that case, you can just set up a custom /buy command or something similar that'll just post the direct link to your store in the chat. YouTube and Twitch are both great ways to earn some income on the side, but in terms of Minecraft servers, the best that they offer up is exposure. If your server is fun, interesting, and popular enough, it might start getting the attention of YouTubers and Twitch streamers. This, by extension, means so many more people will get to see and hear about your server. Those familiar with it, yes, but more importantly, those unfamiliar. Even if the YouTube or Twitch streamer that covers your server has a small audience, it's still something. It's still a number of prospective new players finding out about your server. Selling merchandise is a great way of bringing income once your server's gotten a bit more popular. A well-developed community will typically have a custom logo or style that can be transferred onto everyday items, most notably t-shirts. There are a lot of services that require no upfront costs where you can upload your own artwork to print and sell on different items. Redbubble is a very popular option for this. With all the different costs that come with server community, it's important to be able to understand how to properly and legally monetize your server. With the right amount of dedication and perseverance, you could turn your server into a really profitable business. It's also important to keep any local taxes in mind when collecting donations for your server. We recommend that you get in contact with any local tax experts to discuss your possible tax obligations where you live in relation to the income of your server. Well, folks, that'll do it for this video. And as always, I hope that you have lots of fun.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more great content like this, then subscribe or click these videos. Until next time, gamers.